Straight ahead on this Father's Day edition of the Griot Weekly. Black fathers coming together to show love and support for each other as they show up and show out for their children. We'll take a look at the mission behind the Real Dads Network. But being a new father is not all hugs and kisses. We take a look at the challenges postpartum dads face after becoming a new parent.
My name is
Plus, he's the hype man behind one of the most famous 4-year-olds on social media. Rapping sensation Van Van and her dad Reggie stopped by the Griot Weekly. It's a moment you don't want to miss. Hello and happy Father's Day. I'm Natasha Alford and welcome to the Griot Weekly. On this Father's Day Sunday, we'll be recognizing all of the amazing men holding it down for their families. Too often, the important role that fathers play, particularly black fathers, is downplayed or overlooked. But one organization is working overtime to make sure that doesn't happen, and they are called the Real Dads Network. Derek Phillips is the founder of the Real Dads Network, and he joins us right now on the show. Derek, thank you so much for being with us today, and happy Father's Day to you.
Natasha, thank you very much for having me today, and also happy Father's Day to all the great dads that are out there as well.
Absolutely. We salute you all. Derek, the Real Dads Network came after a documentary that you helped produce called Real Dads, Black Men on Fatherhood. We need more content like this in the world, so tell us about that.
Well, the documentary Real Dads, Black Men on Fatherhood, I did that documentary in 2000. And this was the first documentary that was ever done that focused on positive black fathers. One of the things, when I was growing up, my dad was never involved in my life. And I remember when my mother died when I was 10, and I was laying on that night before the funeral, I was saying, if my dad was here, then I would be able to go to my dad. But I made a promise to myself that night, and I said, if I ever have children, I'm going to make sure I'm there for my children. So when I had my children, I have 2 girls, I was very actively involved. I was changing the diapers, I was doing the bottles, I was braiding their hair, I was doing everything. And it felt really good to me when I was going out and people started calling me a Mr. Mom. I'm like, wow, I'm a Mr. Mom. It felt really good to hear that. But then it hit me, I am not a Mr. Mom. I'm a black father who is actively involved in raising his children. But when it comes to black fathers, we call them everything other than what they really are, which is present and accounted for. And that's what I was, present and accounted for. And I wanted to show the world that black fathers are actively involved in raising their children. So I decided to embark on this documentary called Real Dads, Black Men on Fatherhood, and had Ozzie Davis, was very fortunate to be able to come aboard and do the commentary for that documentary. And that actually was the first documentary that focused on positive black fathers, because at the time, what we were seeing so much of is that absent dads, deadbeat dads, but we were not seeing a lot of positive black fathers. And I knew based on the research at that time, and I know when CDC did a report in 2013 stating that black fathers are more actively involved than any other ethnic group. But I knew that back in 2000 because the research back in 2000 clearly stated that black fathers are more actively involved than any other ethnic group. And that was one of the reasons why we also did the documentary and wanted to show that black fathers were actively involved.
I think it's so important to let people share their stories because that's how you change those ingrained narratives, which are often myths. And Derek, I wonder, as you talk to these fathers, what were they saying their motivation was to show up and to be hands-on with their children? What were some of the different reasons that they gave for why they gave their best in fatherhood?
You know what, I think for a lot of them, and especially in me being one of them, when you don't have a father involved in your life, one of the things that you say to yourself is that I want to make sure that my children have what I never had. And a lot of dads were saying when they were growing up, they didn't have dads. So that was one of the most motivating things for a lot of dads is that, you know, I really want to be there for my children because my dad was not there for me.
Let's talk about how the role of the father has shifted. I remember you were just saying that you were changing diapers, you were really hands-on, you were really involved. There was a time when being a father meant you put food on the table, right? You go out and you provide. Why do you think that that sense of fatherhood has expanded, and why is that important for the black family in particular?
Wow, that is huge. Thank you for asking that question, because one of the things that we know in terms of just with fathers, that role of being a provider is not, when I tell people being a provider is more than just providing financially. And you have to be able to be there every day for your child. And one of the things that we know based on the research as well is that Black women are graduating at a higher rate from colleges, moving into more professional careers than ever before. So that whole role and concept of a woman just raising a child and staying home, being a stay-at-home mom, that's not really what it is for our families anymore. In terms of society has changed. And in terms of fathers, we have to change as well. So our roles, and sometimes what we're seeing in terms of the research, we're seeing a lot of Black fathers who are actually single dads raising children alone, or actually staying at home raising children. So I think a lot of that has to do with society changing and the fact that, you know what, the whole concept of you just being the man, it's not about you being the man, it's about you being there for your family. And our women are really stepping up, and women are moving into positions of managerial positions. So sometimes the best situation for the father is to stay at home while the mother goes to work. So I think the mindset is beginning to change, and I think we're starting to see that a lot today.
That's right. And our children watch what we do and the way that we celebrate each other in the household, right? The way that we partner and we take time to, to be there for each other. They see what dads do. They see what mothers do. If they have a household where maybe they have two dads or two moms, they're watching what partnership looks like. And partnership is not always this strict or traditional concept of family. Partnership is about love and stepping up and being there for each other. So I think that's such an incredible reflection. Derek, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, I want to separate some more fact from fiction about Black fathers and their role in the family. Stay with us.
There's been this landmark study from the Center for Disease Control, which debunked many of the myths surrounding Black fathers. It found that the majority of Black fathers live with their children. Black fathers are more likely to help their children with their homework, prepare meals, bathe and dress their children compared to fathers of other races. So the absent or deadbeat Black father myth that many in America believe is really more like a lie.
Welcome back. That was from Oprah Winfrey's conversation with 100 Black fathers. Today, we're celebrating fathers throughout the hour. And before the break, we were talking to Derek Phillips, the founder of the Real Dads Network, and he's back with us to continue our conversation. Derek, Oprah was quoting statistics from the CDC, which show that Black fathers are heavily involved in their children's lives. This is something we were just talking about. And again, it's contrary to what she calls the big lie. In what other ways do you think we can deconstruct this narrative that Black fathers are somehow not there? What do you think it takes to really shift mindsets and to shift understanding about the ways that Black fathers show up?
I think a lot of that, that's a great question. I think a lot of that also is just, I think in terms of what's happening now is that with social media controlling so much of things, I think it's important that we continue to tell our own stories, that we not rely on mainstream media to tell the stories. So in regards to just posting, like one of the things we try to do on a regular basis at Real Dads Network with our Instagram page, that we're constantly posting stories about positive Black fathers. It's important that other organizations constantly tell the story about positive Black fathers. It's important that we change that narrative and that we actually tell the truth about what is really happening. Like a lot of times people talk about there's 70% of Black children that are being raised in a single-parent household. So when it talks about that statistic is correct. 70% of children are born to a mother at the time when she had the child, they were just not married. Because the reality is 60% of Black children are living in the same household with the mother and father. So we have to change that narrative by saying, we're not just going to talk about the myth, we're going to actually talk with the facts. So one of the things that we do at Real Dads Network is that we really emphasize the fact that we're going to talk about the research. What is the research saying? What are the facts saying? So, because a lot of times we get wrapped up in this story like, a lot of our families are, just raised by single mothers. There are no fathers there. That's not accurate at all. So when we say, let's go to the facts, and what we try to do at Real Dads Network is that we look at the facts. And the facts are Black fathers are actively involved in raising their children. And that is not a myth.
Yes, that is very important. I come from one of those families. I was at my parents' wedding. I was 7 years old, and my dad was with me from day one. He changed diapers. He put me to sleep. He bought me books before I could even read them. For him, fatherhood was very important, and he was showing up in ways that he hadn't necessarily seen for himself. Derek, I wonder, just for new dads, what advice would you give them? You've been studying this fatherhood life for a while. You are bringing community together. What would you tell them about what lies ahead for them?
Wow. I mean, what lies ahead in terms of fatherhood, it is one of the most enjoyable experiences you can ever have. I mean, I have two daughters. I have a 27-year-old and I have a 23-year-old. And I'm still saying to them, I still remember those days of just carrying you like a loaf of bread in my hand and just saying, wow, this is my child. I still look at my kids to this day, and they're adults, and I'm like, wow, I'm a father. But the impact and the joy of just raising a child there is nothing more satisfying in the world than being a parent, being a father. I would not trade that in. I would not trade that in for anything. So for those new dads, I would say to you, enjoy the ride, enjoy the journey. It is one of the greatest experiences you're ever going to have in your life. And to this day, I'm constantly looking at my children saying, wow, I can't believe I'm a dad, but you know what? I enjoy every minute of it.
I love hearing a father, speak with so much love and joy about the experience, because oftentimes parenthood is framed as, oh, the sacrifice you make or how hard it is, but we don't talk enough about the joy. I think it's incredible. And something else that you all do is you celebrate Black fathers through the Real Dads Network. Can you tell our viewers about the scholarships and recognition that you hand out every year for amazing fathers?
Well, one of the things that we do is that we're the only organization that actually celebrates Black fathers with a whole week of events. So this year we're entering our 14th year of Real Dads Week, where we have a series of events throughout the whole week. And then this year we also did, for the first time, we did a $1,000 scholarship for a male and female, where we give them half in October and the other half in March. We're just trying to do our part. So our philosophy is, if everyone just does a little part, then no one is left doing the whole thing.
Well, Derek Phillips, thank you so much for doing the work. It matters. Fathers feel that love and support, and of course, families benefit from it. So Derek Phillips, founder of the Real Dads Network, we appreciate you so much for being with us today. And if you want to learn more about the Real Dads Network, head to their website at realdadsnetwork.org. He has a whole lot of